Alright, hi,
Hello,
how are you?
I'm alright, how are you?
Awesome, I'm good, thank you. Alright, so, what would you say your overall experience at the hospital was?
My overall experience wasn't really the greatest. Um, I can't even explain to you the start of it. It's just, it wasn't a good experience. It was very horrible conditions
Hmm.
that me and some of my fellow patients had to go through.
Hmm. What were the patients there like?
There would be some patients that didn't seem like they belonged there at all, that actually didn't even understand like what the program did because they were so young. The
Hmm.
youngest I knew there was about 11 years old, and uh, she was a very special one to me because she was very sweet at heart, and she would have frequent panic attacks during the day, and the nurses didn't really do that much to help with that. But then there were some patients that I knew that were very violent and aggressive. I would have some of them approach me and say that they didn't like me and that they wanted to kill me or hurt me or my family. I'd have to try and just not listen because I knew if I tried to say something, I would just probably hurt them back, and it wouldn't have been good for me, and it would have progressed my treatment for more days than what I got.
Wow, I can imagine how rough that must have been.
It was.
Yeah. What were the nurses like?
The nurses didn't seem that they particularly liked their jobs. They felt it was a burden to have to look over us kids. We were just kids. Um, they were like 8 to 17 years old. They treated us like 5-year olds that we didn't need to be constantly checked over if somebody was having a panic attack in one room and if somebody was thinking suicidal thoughts in another, they'd just be sitting behind the counter eating their lunch and would tell the male nurses to take them back to the back rooms, the quiet rooms, until they calmed down. That's how they usually handle those types of situations.
Quiet rooms, can you elaborate on what those are?
Quiet rooms were places where people would go if they couldn't control their emotions or if they were crying too much during the night. It was just it was a room painted like the sea, but it was very dark. There wasn't any light fixtures in there, and there was a very thin, flat mattress in there that people would sit on. And then another quiet room was the room where people would get shots if they were aggressive to other patients or staff.
How many people did you see? Like, describe some of your experiences with people getting the shots that they gave.
The one experience I do remember was about my fourth day there. There was a boy on the south side of the unit who jumped over the nurse's station and was trying to take a syringe out of one of the nurse's hands. So 4 male nurses had to pin him down and drag him to the quiet room where they gave him a shot. And rumor was amongst the patients that if you got shot, you wouldn't wake up for 2 days. And they would add another week to your treatment. And nobody wanted to do that because we all wanted to go home because we didn't really like it there.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, wow. Well, what emotional effect did the institution have on you? I mean, I'd think a place like this should be trying to help people, but it just seems like that it's not. It's just making people worse.
thought I was gonna lose my mind in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I belonged there. I wanted to be home. My mom, my dad.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Is it okay if I keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would you say, what effect did the medication have on you?
Oh, I think the medication was the worst part of it. They put me on this medicine. It was a mood stabilizer, and it just made me feel like a zombie most of the day. It made me sleep a lot, made me feel nauseous all the time. It didn't really make me feel like myself. And there were some parts of the day where when I came back home, I was still on it, and I would become aggressive between my mom and my dad, and I had to be taken off of that medication because it wasn't helping me.
Wow. So, would they force you to take the medication?
Yeah, I had to take it because if I didn't, they would make me stay longer and maybe put me on even more mood stabilizers.
What would you say needs to change in terms of the way we view the mentally ill or suicidal people?
Not all of us are psychopaths. Not all of us are killers. There's a lot of us that are hurting out there, and we just want to be heard. And the health system really needs to hire doctors and nurses who are certified and that can actually care about taking care of suicidal patients, overdose patients, uh, kids with alcohol and drug abuse, even adults too. It's all about who is in the system and who's helping these people because I know that right now they don't have the right people in there. And if they don't find people that are supposed to be in there soon, it's just going to make the next generation more and more hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, you said earlier that you had a tough time with the group talk. Could you share your experience with that?
When I was there, a lot of the girls that were in my unit were OD victims, and that's only that's really what we talked about. The reason I was sent there was because I was a danger to myself and others, and that I was a possible runaway. So hearing all these horrible, sad background stories of these other patients of mine that I had to live with for 9 days was very hard for me to take in the hour that we sat there. There was so much emotion, and we were not allowed to comfort one another. That was forbidden. We weren't allowed to hug each other or even hold hands.
Why did they forbid that?
Um, they would say it was a security risk that if we were touching each other, that might lead to sexual misconduct, like sexual assault, or it could be just assault, lead to assault. And they didn't want to deal with that. I personally had to deal with the punishment of touching another patient. Um, I had a friend there. They were transgender. They had to be sent in our unit because if he was sent to the male side, he would have been either sexually harassed or assaulted. And so he was sent on our side. And on my last day, I wanted to give him a hug and say goodbye. And one of the nurses caught us, and she said that we were kissing and doing stuff that we weren't supposed to. And I couldn't believe that they would make such accusations about me and him. And they made him stay more days, and I was almost made to stay another week because of my just hugging somebody. I thought that was so inhumane to rip that just human interaction out of us. It made us feel like we were just prisoners. We didn't feel like we were being helped. We just felt like we were being controlled every day.
And just kind of like managed and not really like real human help and warmth. It seems like there's a lot of warmth missing out of the mental health industry, and it's just kind of like take your drugs and go to your room, you know?
That's what I felt like it was. It was medicine will cure those who aren't fit in society. And to that I say it's completely utter bogus. It's not true.
You need human interaction.
Yes, and I've been seeing a therapist and that's been helping me. Just having a one-on-one interaction with somebody really does make a difference. Because they're actually tending to your personal needs and your personal thoughts. Instead of having it all have a one big sit down and cure everybody in one sitting. That's not how you do it.
Yeah, just kind of, they treat you like cattle.
Right.
How would you say, since the institution, being an institution, what has changed? Like, you've obviously gotten better, so that says something.
Yes.
The mental institutions, they don't necessarily help that much.
I actually had to go back to another psychiatric institution, but it wasn't like an inpatient one. It was one that I could go to during the day and go back home at night. And I felt that I really got the treatment I needed there because the staff really did care, and you would get one-on-one interaction with the nurses on staff there, and I felt that it was much better than my first experience in the psych institution I was in.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have any more thoughts that you'd like to share?
I guess the only thing I could say is medicine isn't always the cure. Sometimes it's just talking to somebody